The blue lights on the bridge of the Xerion command ship blinked rapidly. Warning signals flashed across screens as officers rushed to their stations. Admiral Joran, with his tall gray body and 4 eyes, stood from his command chair. "Report," he ordered. A young officer named Krell looked up from his screen. His hands shook. "Sir, something just appeared at the edge of the system. It came from nowhere." "Impossible," Joran said. "Nothing can enter a system undetected. The sensors don't." "Lie, sir." Krell pulled up an image on the main screen. There it was, a ship of unfamiliar design. It was smaller than the Xerion battleships but had a sleek, dangerous look. Strange markings covered its dark hull. The most prominent was a circular emblem with blue and white stripes and stars. "Magnify," Joran ordered. The image grew larger. The ship's name became visible. USS Defiant. "What species uses that designation?" Joran asked the room. Science officer Mira consulted her database. "Humans, sir. From the Sol system. They're a primitive species. They've barely left their home planet." Joran frowned. "Then how is one of their ships here at Procyon, 12 light years from their home?" No one had an answer. "Scan that vessel," Joran ordered. The scan results appeared moments later. The bridge fell silent. "That can't be right," Mira said. "The energy readings suggest technology far beyond what humans should possess. And there's something strange about their drive system. It's unlike anything in our database." Joran considered the situation carefully. The Xerion Empire controlled 17 star systems. They were the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy. For centuries, they had expanded by finding less advanced worlds and protecting them, which really meant taking them over. Today they planned to claim the human colony on New Horizon, the 3rd planet in the Procyon system. But now this human ship had appeared between the Xerion fleet and their target. "Open communications," Joran ordered. The communications officer tried several frequencies. "No response, sir." "They're moving," Krell reported, "taking position between us and the colony world." Joran felt uneasy. This was not how things were supposed to go. Humans were supposed to be easy to conquer. Their colony should have no protection beyond simple orbital satellites, continue trying to make contact, and charge weapons, just in case. Aboard the USS Defiant, Captain Patricia Miller watched the alien fleet on her view screen. 12 large warships and numerous smaller vessels formed a crescent in space. For years, Earth had known about the Xerion and their expansion plans. While, pretending to be less advanced, humans had secretly prepared. "They're scanning us, Captain," Lieutenant Richard Boyd reported from the tactical station. His fingers moved quickly across his console. "And I'm detecting weapon systems powering up." Patricia nodded. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and steady hands. She had trained for this moment for years. The Defiant was humanity's first true warship capable of faster-than-light travel. Dr. Alan Hoffman's fold drive had allowed them to appear without warning, bypassing all the normal detection systems aliens used. "Open a channel," she ordered. When Admiral Joran's face appeared on screen, Patricia saw the confusion in his 4 eyes. The translator would convert her words to the alien's language. "This colony is under the protection of the United Earth Alliance," Patricia said firmly. "Your fleet will withdraw immediately or face consequences." Joran blinked all 4 eyes in sequence, a sign of surprise in his species. "Who are you to make demands? How did your ship arrive undetected?" "I am Captain Patricia Miller of the Earth. Warship Defiant. How we arrived is not your concern. What matters is that we are here, and we will defend New Horizon." The alien admiral seemed unsure how to respond. "Humans are not supposed to have this level of technology," Patricia allowed, herself a small smile. "There are many things about humans you don't know, Admiral. We've been watching the Xerion Empire for some time. We know about your plans to peacefully integrate independent worlds into your control. It stops today." On his ship, Admiral Joran consulted quietly with his officers. The human vessel was just one ship against his fleet. Yet something about its sudden appearance and the confidence of its captain made him cautious. "We need more information," he told his officers. "Scan every part of that ship. and check if there are more human vessels in the area. Back on the Defiant, Dr. Alan Hoffman joined Captain Miller on the bridge. He was the scientist who had invented the fold drive that powered their ship. With gray hair and bright eyes, he looked more like a kind grandfather than a military scientist. "They're trying to figure out how we got here," he said, watching the alien fleet. "The fold drive has them completely confused." "Good," Patricia replied. "Confusion leads to caution." Lieutenant Commander Jason Ellis, the ship's second-in-command, approached. "Captain, should we power up the particle lance? A demonstration might convince them we're serious." Patricia considered this. The particle lance was Earth's most powerful weapon. It could penetrate any known shield by partially shifting out of phase with normal space. The Xerion would have no defense against it. "Not yet," she decided. "Let's see how they respond first. Contact Earth Command, request permission to reveal our negotiation terms if needed." On New Horizon below, the human colonists went about their day unaware of the confrontation happening in orbit. Only Governor Catherine Morgan and her staff knew what was happening. Catherine had received encrypted messages about the Defiant's mission days earlier. "Prepare the emergency shelters," she told her staff, "just in case." Catherine had lived on New Horizon for 15 years. Under her leadership, the colony had thrived, transforming the once hostile planet into a home for 10,000 humans. She had no intention of letting the Xerion take over. In the Xerion fleet, Admiral Joran received more scan results. His scientists were baffled by the human ship's technology, and now their long-range sensors had detected energy disturbances in nearby systems. Possibly more human ships arriving the same way. The Council must be informed, he decided. Within hours, emergency sessions were called in the Galactic Council chambers on the Xerion homeworld. The news spread quickly. A human warship had appeared without warning, challenging the mighty Xerion Empire and protecting a colony everyone thought was defenseless. For the first time in centuries, the Xerion faced a species that might be their technological equal, or perhaps even their superior. And no one had seen it coming. The game had changed. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with angry voices. 50 alien representatives from across the Xerion Empire argued loudly. At the center of the room, a hologram showed the human warship Defiant, hanging in space near the colony of New Horizon. "How did we miss this?" demanded Counselor Vex, slamming his three-fingered hand on the table. "Humans were supposed to be primitive." Dr. Susan Wright stood calmly before the council. As the head of human studies at the Xerion Academy, she was now the most important expert in the Empire. All 4 of her arms held data tablets showing information about Earth and its colonies. "We underestimated them," she said simply. "It appears humans have been hiding their true technological progress while watching us." The Grand Counselor, oldest and wisest of the Xerion, leaned forward. "Tell us about this ship. How did it appear without warning?" Susan touched one of her tablets and the hologram zoomed in on the Defiant. "Their ship uses what they call a fold drive. It doesn't travel through normal space like our ships do. Instead, it creates a temporary wormhole, allowing it to jump directly to its destination." "That's impossible," said the science minister. "Such technology would require energy levels beyond what any known civilization can produce." "Yet they have done it," Susan replied. "And intercepted communications suggest this is not their only such vessel." The room fell silent at this news. "How many ships do they have?" asked the Grand Counselor. "Unknown," Susan admitted. "But we have detected similar energy signatures in nearby star systems. It seems they have been preparing for this moment for some time." Meanwhile, aboard the Defiant, Captain Patricia Miller received new orders from Earth Command. The message came through a secure channel that used the fold drive's unique properties to prevent interception. "Captain, you are authorized to begin Stage 2 of the operation," said the message from Admiral Kemp. "Governor Morgan will start negotiations while you maintain defensive position. 2 more ships, the Valiant and the Dauntless, will arrive within 48 hours to reinforce your position." Patricia turned to her crew. "It seems we've made quite an impression. Admiral Joran's fleet hasn't advanced or retreated." Lieutenant Commander Jason Ellis studied the tactical display. "They're confused. Their entire strategy relied on us being an easy target. And now they don't know what to do. Patricia finished. Good. Uncertainty is a powerful weapon. Dr. Alan Hoffman entered the bridge, his eyes bright with excitement. Captain, I've been monitoring their scan attempts. They're trying to figure out how the fold drive works, but they're looking in all the wrong places. Keep them guessing, Doctor, Patricia said with a smile. The longer they stay confused, the stronger our position becomes. On the planet below, Governor Catherine Morgan prepared to meet with the Xerian representatives. Unlike the military, personnel on the Defiant, Catherine believed that diplomacy could succeed where force might fail. The meeting room is ready, Governor, her assistant said. The Xerion shuttle will arrive in 30 minutes. Catherine nodded. She was a tall woman with dark skin and a calm voice that inspired trust. For 15 years, she had led the colony of New Horizon, turning it from a struggling outpost into a thriving community. Remember, she told her team, the Xerion respect strength, but value knowledge even more. We need to show them both. When the Xerion delegation arrived, Catherine was surprised to see Admiral Joran himself among them. The tall gray alien moved with caution, his 4 eyes constantly scanning the human settlement. Welcome to New Horizon, Catherine said formally. I am Governor Morgan. We are honored by your visit. Your hospitality is noted, Joran replied stiffly. Though I must say, Governor, your colony has many secrets. Catherine smiled. Not secrets, Admiral. Just aspects we haven't had the opportunity to share until now. She led the delegation through the colony's main street. The Xerion watched with interest as humans went about their daily lives. Children played in parks under artificial weather domes. Workers tended to farms where earth plants grew in the alien soil. How long have humans been on this planet? Asked one of the Xerion scientists. 15 years, Catherine replied. When we arrived, the atmosphere was toxic. Now, as you can see, we've transformed it. The scientist looked impressed. Such atmospheric change should take centuries. Catherine nodded toward a large building at the edge of town. Our atmospheric processors work quickly. Perhaps you'd like to see them. Inside the building, massive machines hummed quietly. Screens showed the ongoing process of converting the planet's air into something humans could breathe without masks. This technology, the Xerion scientist began, then stopped, clearly amazed. Is something we'd be willing to share, Catherine finished for him. Under the right agreement, of course. Admiral Joran's eyes narrowed. You speak of agreements when your warship threatens my fleet? The Defiant is not a threat, Admiral, Catherine said calmly. It's a statement. Humans wish to join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects. We have much to offer in exchange for mutual respect. In orbit, the Defiant continued its silent standoff with the Xerion fleet. The ship's sensors detected new activity. Captain, reported Lieutenant Boyd. 3 more Xerion warships just entered the system. Patricia frowned. Reinforcements? I don't think so, Boyd replied. They're not joining the main fleet formation. They're hanging back near the edge of the system. Dr. Hoffman studied the readings. They're waiting for something, or someone. Patricia had a sudden realization. They're waiting to see if more human ships arrive. They want to know how many we have. She smiled at the clever tactic. The Xerion were testing them, trying to gauge the true extent of human power. Send a message to Earth Command, she ordered. Request that the Valiant and Dauntless arrive from different vectors. Let's keep them guessing about our capabilities. Back on New Horizon, Governor Morgan was showing the Xerion delegation the colony's research facilities. This is Dr. Paul Evans, our lead scientist. She introduced a man with glasses and a friendly smile. Paul showed the aliens several ongoing projects. This device can purify water from any source, and this one can grow food in even the most hostile environments. Admiral Joran watched silently. Then he turned to Catherine. Governor, your people have achieved much. But why hide these achievements until now? Catherine met his gaze steadily. When a small creature lives near a large predator, Admiral, it learns to stay hidden until it's strong enough to defend itself. The Admiral's skin changed color slightly, a sign of emotion in his species. You consider us predators? We consider you expansionists, Catherine replied. The Zirion Empire has absorbed 17 independent worlds in the last century. We studied your history before establishing our colonies. For the first time, Admiral Joran seemed truly surprised. Colonies? You have more than one? Catherine realized she had revealed more than intended. But perhaps it was time for honesty. Yes, Admiral. New Horizon is not our only home among the stars. As night fell on New Horizon, lights began to appear in the colony's buildings. In orbit, the Defiant maintained its vigilant watch. And throughout the Zirion Empire, leaders wondered what other surprises the humans might have in store. A new player had entered the galactic stage, and the game would never be the same again. Major Kyle Peterson sat across from Zirion Security Director Thal in a small room on a neutral space station. The station orbited the outermost planet of the Procyon system, far from both the human colony and the Zirion fleet. Neither of their governments knew about this meeting. Both men understood the importance of talking in secret. Kyle was a tall man with short black hair and sharp eyes. He worked for Earth Intelligence, the spy agency that had been watching alien civilizations for decades. Director Thal was older than most Zirion, with gray-blue skin and all four of his eyes showing signs of age. You have been watching us for a long time, Thal said. It wasn't a question. Kyle nodded. Since your ships first passed through our solar system 20 years ago, your crew thought Earth was primitive. They didn't notice our deep space sensors, tracking them. Impossible, Thal said. Our stealth technology is the best in the galaxy. Kyle smiled and slid a small crystal device across the table. This contains records of all Zirion fleet movements near Earth-controlled space for the past 5 years, including your plans to take 12 more worlds, including New Horizon. Director Thal picked up the crystal. His hands trembled slightly. Our communications use quantum encryption. How did you break it? We didn't need to break it, Kyle explained. We helped create it. Through shell companies and scientific exchanges, humans have been influencing Zirion technology for years. Your quantum encryption methods came from a research paper published by a professor who works for us. Thal's skin changed color as he processed this information. You've been playing us. We prefer to call it preparing for first contact, Kyle replied. Humans have a long history of stronger civilizations destroying weaker ones. We didn't want that to happen to us. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the USS Defiant, Captain Patricia Miller watched as 2 new ships appeared in the system. The USS Valiant and USS Dauntless used their full drives to arrive from completely different directions, just as she had requested. The Zirion fleet is changing formation, Lieutenant Boyd reported. They're spreading out to monitor all 3 of our vessels. Patricia nodded. Good. That divides their attention. She turned to Dr. Hoffman. Any progress on the new communication system? Alan Hoffman looked up from his workstation. It's ready, Captain. Using the fold drive's quantum properties, we can now talk to all human colonies instantly without any chance of interception. Patricia activated the new system. This is Captain Miller to all Earth Alliance colonies. The demonstration at Procyon has begun as planned. Initiate protocol reveal. Back on New Horizon, Governor Catherine Morgan continued her tour with the Zirion delegation. They had reached the colony's defense center, a building buried partly underground. Our colony may seem peaceful, Catherine explained, but we are always prepared for threats. She showed them a 3-dimensional map of the Procyon system. Small dots indicated the positions of hidden defense satellites orbiting the planet. These satellites were placed here years ago, she said. They remain inactive unless the colony is threatened. Admiral Joran studied the map carefully. Your defenses are more extensive than we expected, yet you must know they would not stop a determined attack from our fleet. Catherine smiled. They don't need to stop you, Admiral. They only need to slow you down until help arrives. As if on cue, her communication device beeped. She read the message and looked up at the Zirion. It seems that help has already arrived. 2 more Earth ships have entered the system. In a secure room in the Earth Government Building in Geneva, President Laura Harrison addressed the United Nations Security Council. On large screens around the room, leaders from every major nation watched as she explained the situation. "For generations, we have prepared in secret," she said. "The Artemis Protocol has now entered its final phase. Today we are revealing ourselves to the galaxy not as weak newcomers but as equals." The room was silent. The Artemis Protocol had been Earth's master plan for decades. It included developing advanced technology while appearing primitive, establishing hidden colonies and studying alien civilizations through secret observation posts. "As we speak," Laura continued, "our ships are demonstrating our capabilities to the Xerian Empire. Other human colonies throughout nearby star systems are also revealing themselves, each protected by ships that arrived weeks ago. In orbit above, New Horizon, the 3 human warships maintained position between the colony and the Xerian fleet. Aboard the Defiant, Lieutenant Commander Jason Ellis approached Captain Patricia with a suggestion. "The Xerians still haven't withdrawn their ships," he said. "Perhaps we should demonstrate the particle lance on an uninhabited moon. Show them what we can do without harming anyone." Patricia considered this idea. "Contact Earth Command for permission. If approved, target the small moon in the outer system. Make sure there are no ships or stations nearby." On his flagship, Admiral Joran received urgent messages from the Xerion homeworld. The Council was in panic. Reports were coming in from multiple star systems of human ships suddenly appearing near planets the Xerion had planned to take over. "What are your orders, Admiral?" his second-in-command asked. Joran stared at the screen showing the 3 human warships. "We must learn more before acting. These humans have planned this moment for years. They would not reveal themselves unless they were confident in their position." In the neutral space station, Kyle Peterson finished his meeting with Director Thal. They had talked for hours about what humans wanted and what the Xerion could offer. "Your empire has 2 choices," Kyle said as they prepared to leave. "You can treat us as enemies and face our technology in battle, or you can accept us as equals and benefit from trade and exchange of knowledge." Thal's expression was hard to read. "The Council does not accept equals easily." "Then they will need to learn," Kyle replied, "because we won't accept anything less." As Kyle's shuttle departed for the Defiant, he received an encoded message from Earth. The Artemis Protocol was proceeding as planned. Across 17 star systems, human colonies were revealing themselves simultaneously. Each was protected by ships using the fold drive technology. What the Xerion had thought was one unexpected warship had turned out to be the tip of a much larger spear. Humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage not as a primitive species ripe for conquest, but as a hidden power with technology that in some ways surpassed the Xerion Empire. The Defiant's sudden appearance had been just the beginning. The real shock was yet to come. 3 weeks after the Defiant first appeared in the Procyon system, representatives from 17 human colonies gathered on a neutral space station. The station orbited a gas giant in the Tau Ceti system, halfway between Earth and the Xerion homeworld. Professor Gregory Martinez led the human delegation. He was an older man with white hair and kind eyes, but his mind was sharp. As Earth's top expert on alien politics, he had studied the Xerion for decades. Across the large round table sat members of the Galactic Council. Grand Counselor Mex, the oldest and most respected Xerion, sat in the center. His skin had turned almost white with age, and his 4 eyes blinked slowly as he studied the humans. "We have reviewed the information your representatives have shared," Mex began. "It is disturbing that your species has hidden its true nature for so long." Gregory smiled. "We've observed your empire for decades, Grand Counselor. While you claim to be peaceful, your actions tell a different story. You have taken over 17 independent worlds in the last century alone." Counselor Vex, younger and more aggressive than Mex, leaned forward. "You speak boldly for a species with only 3 warships." Gregory touched a control on the table. A hologram appeared above them, showing dozens of blue dots spread across 3 sectors of space. Each dot represented a human settlement or outpost. "Each of these colonies is protected by vessels similar to the Defiant," Gregory explained. The fold drive is merely one of many technologies we've developed. The Xerion Council members looked at each other in shock. They had believed humans were confined to Earth and a few nearby colonies. The hologram showed human presence spread much farther than they had imagined. "How is this possible?" asked a Xerion scientist. "Our survey ships have explored those regions. They reported no signs of advanced civilization, because we didn't want to be found," Gregory replied. "Earth has a long history of stronger civilizations destroying weaker ones. When we realized we weren't alone in the galaxy, we decided to remain hidden until we were strong enough to defend ourselves." On the bridge of the USS Defiant, still orbiting New Horizon, Captain Patricia Miller watched a recording of the meeting. Earth Command sent regular updates through the secure quantum communication system. "They still don't fully understand," she said to Lieutenant Commander Ellis. "The Xerion think this is about military power." "Isn't it?" Ellis asked. Patricia shook her head. "No, it's about changing how they see us. The Artemis Protocol was never about fighting a war. It was about preventing one." In her office on New Horizon, Governor Catherine Morgan met with Admiral Joran. Over the past weeks, they had developed a cautious respect for each other. "Your colony has thrived under your leadership," Joran admitted. "The atmospheric processors alone would be valuable technology for many worlds in our empire." Catherine nodded. "Technology we're willing to share, Admiral, but as partners, not subjects." Joran's skin changed color slightly. "The Council is not used to partnerships with species they consider newer to the galactic community." "Then perhaps it's time for the Council to learn new ways," Catherine suggested. "The old approach of absorbing worlds into your empire won't work with humans." Back on Earth, in a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alan Hoffman worked with a team of scientists. They were developing the next generation of the fold drive. Alan had left the Defiant a week earlier, returning to Earth to continue his research. "The Xerians still don't understand how the drive works," he told his team. "Their ships can only travel through normal space. The concept of folding space itself is completely new to them." A young scientist named Lisa Chen looked up from her work. "Should we be sharing this technology with them? It could give them a military advantage." Alan shook his head. "Not yet. President Harrison and the Security Council will decide which technologies we share and when. For now, the fold drive remains our greatest advantage." In orbit around a distant star called Epsilon Indi, the USS Valiant patrolled near another human colony. Captain Samuel Green received an urgent message from Earth Command. "Xerion scout ships detected approaching Epsilon Indi. Intercept but do not engage unless threatened. Remember, this is a demonstration, not a war." Samuel acknowledged. "The order." The Valiant moved to position itself between the incoming Xerion ships and the human colony. Just like the Defiant had done at Procyon, the Valiant would show that humans could protect their people throughout explored space. In Geneva, President Laura Harrison met with the United Nations Security Council again. The mood was tense, but hopeful. "The Xerion have requested formal diplomatic relations," she announced. "They have agreed to recognize all human colonies as sovereign territory." The room filled with applause. After decades of secret preparation, humanity had achieved its goal, recognition as equals in the galactic community. "What changed their minds?" asked the representative from India. Laura displayed a video on the main screen. It showed the Defiant firing its particle lance weapon at a small, uninhabited moon in the Procyon system. The beam passed through the moon's surface without resistance, creating a clean hole straight through the entire celestial body. "This demonstration convinced them that fighting us would be costly," Laura explained. "But more importantly, our offers of technological exchange appealed to their scientific community. The Xerion value knowledge above all else." On the Xerion homeworld, the full Galactic Council met in emergency session. The chamber was filled with not just Xerion representatives, but leaders from other species within the Empire. News of the human sudden appearance had spread throughout their territory. "We must adapt to this new reality," Grand Counselor Mex told the Assembly. "The humans have shown they cannot be conquered or controlled. Instead, we must find ways to work with them." Many council members objected, arguing that accepting humans as equals would weaken the Empire. But Director Thal, who had met with Kyle Peterson, stood to address the council. "I have studied these humans closely," he said. "They are different from other species we have encountered. They prepared for centuries, watching us while developing technologies we never imagined. Fighting them would be unwise." Across human space, colonies celebrated the news. After generations of hiding their true capabilities, people could finally live openly. Ships traveled between stars using the fold drive, no longer needing to hide their movements from alien observers. Aboard the Defiant, Captain Patricia Miller received new orders. The ship would return to Earth for upgrades and a formal ceremony. As the first vessel to reveal itself to the Zirian, the Defiant had become a symbol of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. "Set course for home," she ordered. "It's time for the next phase to begin." 6 months after the Defiant's sudden appearance in the Procyon system, the galactic landscape had changed forever. In the large shipyard orbiting Earth's moon, 5 new warships floated in space. Each was larger and more advanced than the Defiant. Captain Patricia Miller, now Admiral Miller, walked through the control center overlooking the shipyard. "The USS Intrepid will be ready for its first mission next week," said the shipyard commander. "The other 4 vessels will follow 1 month later." Patricia nodded with satisfaction. Earth's shipbuilding capacity had grown rapidly now that humans no longer needed to hide their true technological level. The new ships incorporated improvements based on technologies shared by friendly alien civilizations. "We never wanted war," Patricia told the young officers gathered for the inspection tour. "Our strategy wasn't about fighting. It was about changing the conversation." One young lieutenant raised her hand. "Admiral, is it true the Zirion offered to make you their military advisor?" Patricia smiled. "Yes." I politely declined. "My place is here, helping to build Earth's defense fleet." On New Horizon, now recognized as a sovereign human world, Governor Catherine Morgan hosted the first interspecies cultural festival. Representatives from 27 different civilizations gathered in the colony's central plaza. Some were members of the Zirian Empire, while others were independent species who had heard about humans and wanted to establish contact. 6 months ago, most of these beings didn't know humans existed, Catherine told her assistant as they watched the colorful gathering. "Now they're eating our food and listening to our music." Admiral Joran stood nearby, watching the festivities with all 4 of his eyes. Over the months, he had become Earth's strongest supporter within the Zirion military. "Your strategy was brilliant," he admitted to Catherine. The Defiant's appearance wasn't just about showing military strength. It was humanity announcing that you understand the rules of the galactic game. Catherine nodded. "And that we're ready to play as equals, not as subjects." In a research center in Geneva, Dr. Alan Hoffman worked side by side with scientists from 5 different alien species. They studied the fold drive technology that had allowed humans to surprise the galaxy. "The beauty of human innovation," Alan explained to a curious Zirion engineer, "is that we don't limit ourselves to established scientific ideas. We imagine what could be possible, then work backward to make it happen." The Zirian engineer's skin changed color to show respect. "Your species thinks differently than mine. We build on what is known. You imagine what is unknown." "That's why working together benefits us both," Alan replied. "Different approaches to the same problems." On the Galactic Council's home station, a new human embassy had opened. Ambassador Daniel Russell worked every day to build relationships with species who had never met humans before the revelation. Many were fascinated by humanity's approach to diplomacy and technology. "We entered galactic politics through the side door," Daniel often said to new contacts. "Sometimes the unexpected entrance makes the strongest impression." The Zirian, for their part, had begun changing their approach to expanding their empire. They now offered genuine partnerships to less advanced worlds, instead of simply taking them over. Their intelligence services spoke of the human method as a potential threat, the idea that other species might follow humanity's example of hidden development, followed by sudden revelation. Deep in Earth's Cheyenne Mountain complex, The architects of the Artemis Protocol gathered to plan the next phase of humanity's integration into the galactic community. President Laura Harrison addressed the group of military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. For centuries, humanity dreamed of reaching the stars, she said. Now that we've found a complex political landscape that requires not just technology but strategic thinking. The Defiant was our introduction. Now we must prove we deserve our place among these older civilizations. After the meeting, General Olivia Castillo remained behind with the president. She was a tall woman with dark hair streaked with gray. As the military leader who had helped design the Artemis Protocol, she felt both pride and concern about its success. They're already calling it the Defiant Doctrine in military academies, she noted. Appear suddenly, show overwhelming technological advantage, then negotiate from a position of strength. President Harrison smiled. An approach as old as humanity itself. The galaxy may be vast, but power, diplomacy, and innovation are understood by all species. In orbit above Earth, the USS Defiant prepared for its next mission. Though newer and more powerful ships were now available, the Defiant remained special. It had been the first to reveal humanity's true strength to the stars. Captain Jason Ellis, formerly lieutenant commander under Patricia Miller, now commanded the legendary vessel. As Earth grew smaller in the viewscreen, he thought about how much had changed in just 6 months. Set course for the Centauri system, he ordered. We'll be meeting representatives from the Orion Consortium. The Orion Consortium was a group of trading worlds beyond Xerian space. They had requested contact with humans after hearing about their sudden appearance and advanced technology. This was no longer about surprising potential enemies, but about building new friendships. As the Defiant activated its fold drive and disappeared from normal space, news of its journey spread across the galaxy. The ship that had once shocked the mighty Xerian Empire now served as humanity's ambassador to distant stars. On New Horizon, children learned about the day when the Defiant appeared without warning, changing their place in the universe forever. In the Xerion Academy, students studied human history, trying to understand the species that had hidden in plain sight for so long. And throughout the vast reaches of space between the stars, the story spread from world to world, how a supposedly primitive species had secretly prepared for centuries, then stunned the greatest empire in known space with a single warship that appeared without warning, changing the balance of power forever. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with a whisper, but with the silent thunder of the Defiant.